Vikings beat the Bears 27-24 on Monday Night Football after a slow start where he had one pick, no TDs in the first three quarters. J.J. McCarthy came alive in his first start in the fourth quarter. 3 TDs. He joins Fran Tarkenton in 1961 as the only Vikings QB to have multiple passing touchdowns in a Vikings debut. Farhan Lalji, Vikings legend. Look at Farhan Lalji in his Vikings purple joining us from Soldier Field, looking fantastic. But Farhan, you know, I was maybe surprised J.J. McCarthy was so good in the fourth quarter. You weren't surprised at all. Tell us why.
Well, I think when you go back throughout this kid's career before he came into the NFL, there was always a level of calm and a level of empowerment. He was a guy that kept the focus on his teammates, not on himself, and that allowed him in the biggest moments of games to be available, to be present, and to deliver in the biggest moments. And, you know, the one thing I liked early on is that the game didn't seem too big for him. You know, there weren't those moments where he was panicking, trying to get audibles in and, you know, things like that. Here's a pass in the red zone to Justin Jefferson that, you know, you probably want to have in a better spot, but you also hope that Jefferson can make this catch for him. Then, of course, the pick six, you know, he does a good job audibling, but then the late throw, and it goes back the other way. But he just stayed calm. There was a point right after that. He did take his only delay of game of the game, but then when his team needed him in the fourth quarter, he had just 12 pass attempts in the first 3 quarters. Real low volume, much like what he dealt with when he was at Michigan, but in the fourth quarter, 6 of 8, 87 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. He played his best when the game is on the line. He doesn't get his nose out of shape. I heard you and Luke talking about body language and things like that with Caleb Williams. You're never going to get that with J.J. McCarthy. If you got to run the ball and he doesn't get to be the star of the game, he is good with that. He simply wants to win the football game, and if he's got to wait until the fourth quarter to make his plays, he is good with that.
Well, you brought up Caleb Williams. Let's talk about him because he had a terrific start to this one, completes his first 10 passes. But actually for you, Farhan, it was his ability to scramble that stood out to you the most.
Yeah, in the first half, I really liked the way he scrambled. Not just that he did scramble. We know this guy's a good athlete. We've seen all the highlights from USC. But when I watched him play a year ago, it was one look and take off and run for your life. This time around, there was a little more to it. Now, this was a fabulous play. You showed that earlier with Luke, the catch by Roma Dunze on the sideline. But look here. He steps up. He slides. He backs out. His eyes are downfield the whole time. Then he winds up finishing with a touchdown. There's more and more of this. You'll see him when he scrambles. It's not just take off. He resets, looks down the field. Here he makes, or not on this play, but on the next play, you'll see him make a throw to Loveland while he's running one way. He keeps his eyes down the field. There was a lot to like in terms of how he navigated the pocket. It wasn't with a lot of panic, but it was a lot of empty calories as well, because in the second half, Minnesota was able to make some adjustments and take all of that away from him. So how he ran the ball, I think there was some positive to it. It was less panic, but ultimately he's going to have to win the game from the pocket, and we saw some highs and lows in and around that part of his game.
Yeah, let's focus a little bit more on that side of his game. In his rookie season, Caleb Williams was sacked 68 times. That is the 4th highest mark in National Football League history. So you showed his ability to scramble and scramble in a very smart way. How did he look in the pocket to you on Monday night?
I think it was inconsistent, right? And I know that Ben Johnson talked a lot about fixing his footwork, and at times it looked like his footwork was on point, and at other times it just didn't. And, you know, he was 10 for 10 to start the game, as you guys mentioned. After that, he was 11 of 24. And, you know, when you look at some of these plays, look at him sit in the pocket, make this throw to the right sideline to DJ Moore. You know, it looked like these were moments where he arrived. Here again, sits in the pocket, was able to find somebody in the middle of the field in zone coverage. Here, play action again. Great throw down the left side. Puts it in a perfect spot, moves his team down the field. But then right here, look, a simple screen pass. He throws it behind Roma Dunze. There were other plays like this. Here he's got Loveland wide open on the left side. You can't see it there. Instead, he wants to go deep to the right. He throws inaccurate. It's out of bounds. And then right here again, just throws it into the dirt behind the receiver. Lucky it wasn't picked off. So within a game, within a half, within a series, you're getting 2 completely different versions of Caleb Williams, and that is the biggest challenge. It was like this in training camp when Ben Johnson told his defensive coordinator, Dennis Allen, throw everything you've got at this kid. Let's see how he responds. And there were highs, there were lows. I think you're going to get that for at least the early parts of the season before we find out whether or not the system and everything Johnson wants him to do is there. Williams says he wants to be coached harder. He's getting coached harder. Let's see what the results are in the weeks ahead.
I guess the one positive thing for Bears fans, Farhan, and for you, because you were there at Soldier Field, they honored the 85 Bears at halftime, which was so cool. Could you do the Super Bowl shuffle for us? Because I know you know it by heart.
No, I might be able to do the icky shuffle, but not the Super Bowl shuffle. When I come into the studio, you and I we'll shoot a TikTok. We'll do it.
Okay, we'll save it for a Cincinnati Bengals game. We'll do the icky shuffle then. You're the best, buddy. Thanks for this.
Take care.